raise my pom-poms as a cheerleader for clean air regulations. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Martin, and we do have that, and we will keep that. Okay, next speaker will be Gloria Stockmeyer.
Good afternoon. My name is Gloria Stockmeyer, Stockmeyer Trucking. I'm here today to comment on the board's decision in December, to dismiss staff's recommendations to offer the same concessions and delayed rules to drayage trucks that you have given to trucks governed by the truck and bus regulations. Your decision shows your failure to acknowledge the substantial investments made by many of the 5,400 drayage trucks that visit the Port of Oakland regularly. Based on information that CARB published, a lot of the trucks went and purchased 2004, 5, and 6 engine model trucks with the plan of retrofitting them, and now they're being told that there are no certified filters or retrofit devices. So these men and women are stuck with trucks that are worthless, and they're stuck with payments, and they can't sell them, and if they were able to sell them, they could go buy a 2007 model truck. But because they've been devalued by this decision, they're going to be jobless, and I really ask that you reconsider and revisit this issue. It's very important to a lot of drivers.
Okay, thank you very much for your presentation. I think we'll take it all, and because all of the speakers are on this subject, then we'll respond at the end. Okay. The next one speaker will be Miguel Silva.
Hi, members of the board. My name is Miguel Silva, and I work with Horizon Freight System in the Port of Oakland. First of all, I wanted to thank you for responding to my comments regarding your decision not to extend Phase 2 of the drayage truck rule back in December. Unfortunately, the letter that I received from the board was extremely disappointing, not only because you denied my request to reconsider your decision, but because the reasons were inadequate. It failed to justify the decisions to potentially put thousands of port drivers out of business for minimum environment benefit while granting relief to non-port truckers. You tell us that the board found it necessary to retain Phase 2 requirements to protect residents of impacted communities from exposure to diesel, PM, and ozone. Yet, you failed to recognize that the cleanest trucks in those communities currently are the drayage trucks. A 2010 Air District study found an anticipated 40% reduction in NOx emissions at the port due to the replacement of many older polluting trucks that had occurred in Phase 1 implementation. But yet, you continue to allow significant emissions from non-port trucks through those same communities and freeways. The balance of emission today has changed, and there is no valid justification for widening the disparity between the truck rules. If the goal is to protect communities like West Oakland, Phase 2 will not achieve that goal. You also say that the board concluded that retaining existing Phase 2 requirements would provide fairness within the drayage truck industry to the truck owners who have made greater investments in new trucks. That delaying Phase 2 requirements would have favored truck owners who have not yet invested in pollution controls and penalizes the owner-operators of fleets driving cleaner trucks. This statement is elitist, it favors wealthy companies, and punishes the poor. Every truck that currently serves the Port of Oakland has made investments in pollution controls, be it by retrofitting their trucks or by purchasing newer year model trucks that they could afford. All have made sacrifices commensurate to their economic situation. Phase 1 already has played a heavy financial burden on port truckers. To ignore that seems to be deliberately contemptuous of the plight of the working class. Many have gone out of business, many have incurred high interest rate loans and large amount of debt. Port truckers have done their share and more to meet state clean air regulations at a great personal cost. Not delaying Phase 2 to favor a handful of wealthy companies at the expense of 1,000 owner-operators made up of mostly low-income minorities is discriminatory. The Civil Rights Act of 1964 requires your agency under state law to conduct your program, policies, activities in a manner that ensures the fair treatment of people of all races, cultures, and income levels, including minority populations and low-income populations of the state. I think it would be inappropriate and unlawful to proceed to implement these policies without mitigating or even looking at the impending devastating impact of your decision. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Silva. Mr. Abodi?
We've been here since 9 o'clock, and my name is Bill Abudi. I'm with AB Trucking. I work at the Port of Oakland. I've been there since 1988, and I've learned over the years that before you punch somebody because they're stepping on your toe, you better tell them. So I want to tell you, you guys are stepping on all of our toes at the Port of Oakland. We've had enough. I've gone from 13 trucks to 6 trucks. We've been suffering for the last 3 years. The promises that were made to us are not kept. The money didn't come. Then you call us something like an actor that came late to the show, that we didn't apply early. It's bull. We applied when the outreach was done. The money ran out. It didn't run out for 1 or 2. It ran out for 1,300 people. 1,300 people that stood in line day and night to try and go through this process. You've overcomplicated the system. I've attended every drayage workshop that was in Oakland. We've participated in everything. We tried to do everything. This is not the way it was supposed to go. We were going 1 year ahead of on-road rule. We're being backed by the money because we're the guinea pigs. And we're being slaughtered right now. And you have to look at it. This is a very dangerous situation. You can talk to Cynthia Marvin. You can talk to Diane Bailey from NRDC. We have done our best to comply with everything. We want to reduce pollution. We live in those communities. We interact with that community. But your decisions and what you're doing is not correct. The 2004, 5, and 6, that rule was changed after people were led to believe that that's an option that they had. The years were shortened. Then we were told that we didn't promise you that there was going to be a DPF that would reduce NOx. We had hoped. What does that mean? How do you make a law hoping that somebody was going to do something? You have to make sure, just like with your earlier regulation, you're mandating, you're watching, you're adjusting. Now, you've adjusted it for on-road rule. Why not adjust it for the port drayage trucks that reduce the pollution by 50%, NOx by 40%? We did that already. We upgraded our trucks. We upgraded it on our own dime. 2,700 of us upgraded on our own dime. Didn't take a penny. 1,300 got, instead of 20,000, we got 5,000. So we can always ask the military to go ahead and give them some efficiency so they can do their test a little faster and give us that $30 million that they burn in one day. If you have that kind of money, we'll buy brand new trucks or the $2 million bus.
Thank you. Dominic Lee.
Members of the board, my name is Dominic Lee. I'm with VA Transportation in Oakland, California. I have about 90 owner-operators working there. As you can probably already tell, we're a little bit upset in Oakland as this decision that was made in December. All of us here work in Oakland. We're not one-time visitors, especially like my guys. Out of 90 owner-operators, 80% of my guys stay at the port all day. And so you want to talk about emissions, the problems that were there previously and the correction that was done. It's largely due to the community of truckers like me and my colleagues here that's based in Oakland itself. I also had the pleasure in the past year to be chair of the Truckers Work Group in Oakland, where you sent your staff members down on a monthly basis to talk about amendments that were to be made in, to the drayage rule based on the effects of the economy. And I'm kind of a little bit upset about, not really upset, I don't know if you're misinformed, but you know, some of the basis of reply we got from Mr. Goldstein on behalf of Chairman Nichols is based upon that drayage industry or the port industry is rebounding. And, you know, I don't know where you really got that. We haven't responded or rebounded at all. I went from having about 170 trucks in about 2006 to running about 80 trucks in Portland, in Oakland. That's about half of that. Now, if you look at Journal of Commerce, we may have rebounded last year, but all steamship lines, and I believe my customers have to make money for us to trickle down and be economically better. They've all lost hundreds of millions of dollars in the first quarter. They're all bracing for another 2009, where some steamship lines have lost over $1 billion. If there should be any relief made to the trucking community, it should come to the drayage. It should come to the guys who've already invested, has payments, and are seriously looking for relief. A gentleman here earlier talked about you know, you need to keep deadlines and technology and all that. I think sometimes we jump ahead of the schedule and propose deadlines when you don't have technology. There's these guys who went out there and bought 05, 06 trucks with promise of technology to keep on working until 2020. You don't have that available, and at this point, you're proposing options for them that are just not viable at this point. It's a promise. If it's not there, then some changes need to be made to make accommodations for these truckers who want to stay at work. I mean, it's about fairness, and I think sometimes we all sit here and play a zero-sum game. I think there could be compromises that could be made and keep everybody working. And I'm seriously asking you guys to reconsider and keep Oakland's port drivers stay working. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Lee. Mr. Lee, the committee that you mentioned, just
Yes, ma'am.
briefly, how many are on that committee that you just mentioned?
You're talking about Truckers Work Group, or you're talking
Yeah,
about?
yes.
Well, Truckers Work Group is a monthly meeting put on by the trucking community in the Port of Oakland, and it's open to all terminal operators, steamship lines, and what's our number? And all trucking companies that serve the Port of Oakland, including truckers who come in from the valley as well.
Okay, but individual truckers can be there as well as
Oh, yes,
larger
ma'am.
companies.
And actually, that's really been the misinformation. I mean, for a year, you've sent staff down saying there's going to be amendments made, there's going to be extension made to their filters, there's going to be extension made to their trucks, and you know, within 10 minutes, you guys change your mind as to take that away from them. Okay. And that's been a mass confusion.
But the group represents pretty fairly all of the interests in the area.
Of all Oakland truckers,
Okay.
yes.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Mr. Light.